I think if I did a survey right now, that the majority of you would like to walk into a room that looks like this instead of a room that looks like this. Why is that? Today we're going to go room by room and talk about how the book A Monk's Guide to a Clean House and Mind has impacted me in these several ways. So in our living rooms, I want you to think about how your living room functions and feels when you first walk into it. Is it easy to find a place to sit? Can you walk around the pieces of furniture with ease and clean around them with ease? Or are you like me so many years ago that I just felt like this was a place of horror, and I had oversized rugs, I had very heavy curtains, I had too many pieces of furniture. And so it never felt like a place that was peaceful and calm. It was a constant cycle of changing decor and changing furniture, that it just felt like it was a constant tornado. I love the way that this book talks about treating our things like we treat our friends. When we appreciate our spaces and our things that we're bringing into those spaces, we no longer will create flat surfaces that are completely covered from head to toe, because when we bring all of this excess in, we don't have time to enjoy it or clean it. And so therefore it becomes clutter. So when you're dusting your flat surfaces this week, I want you to think about how many things are on my flat surfaces. Do I really enjoy having them out, or is it something else for me to constantly keep up with and clean? If you know anything about me, I loved picture walls, and yet I came to the conclusion that I can't have them because they are too much for me to clean. It's not that I don't enjoy looking at them or love pictures up. It was just one too many things for me to have to take care of. And so I wasn't treating those pieces of decor with the care and love that they really deserved. And real quick, before we move on to our kitchen, I want you to also think about how you are treating your furniture and placing your furniture in your rooms. Is it easy to get around? Do you have too many pillows on that couch so they never look right? You're constantly rearranging them, or you're constantly changing them out for different pillows. I want you to think about, how can I really be considerate of the things that I've brought in, and also pay attention to the threshold where I am comfortable taking care of these things and washing them and keeping up with them, and where that line is crossed and turns into anxiety. All right, sorry. I know the lighting in here is awful. It is a super dark day out, but we're still having fun, right? So let's talk about our kitchens. How can we create a clean kitchen and a clean mind, and so therefore we don't mind making dinners, or we're not super stressed at the end of the night by having to do a million dishes? So this is what he says. Cleaning is carried out not because there is dirt, but because it is a practice to cultivate our minds. I know, right? Like, I don't love cleaning, but how can we make this process more mindful, more enjoyable, in order to love our kitchens again? For me, living in a 1960s home and slowly over time updating this kitchen, I can say it's not all in the aesthetics. It's not that you have the perfect sink or a great fridge and not an ancient old oven. It's about, how are we bringing our things into our kitchen, and how are we taking care of them the best that we possibly can? A lot of us get into this trap where we see all these beautiful kitchens, and don't get me wrong, ours has been updated slowly over time, but it definitely didn't start this way. And so you get in this mindset that you have to have this amazingly beautiful, shiny kitchen in order for everything to be perfect. But it's just not true. What I have found to be my truth is that when I have less in my kitchen, I'm able not only to clean the flat surfaces a lot faster and enjoy this space and cook in this space with ease. It means that I can have more home-cooked dinners with my family and put things away easily. So let's think about organizing thoughtfully. How can we organize our kitchen to best suit ourselves? Well, it all is going to start with decluttering. Taking all of those things out of your kitchen and going through the things that you haven't touched in a month or two, and those things that you use constantly. Bring the things that you use constantly to the front. And what I did years ago is that I took all of those things that I realized I wasn't really using, even those extra dishes and extra forks and spoons, and I moved them upstairs. As somebody with ADHD, I have a hard time remembering the last time I used something. So for me, it was much easier to take these things out of my kitchen and put them somewhere else, and be able to set a time where I was going to reflect back on it. Did I go back for these objects? If it was no, they went back out. And I love how we can think about this idea with our cleaning utensils, our forks, our knives, our spoons, all those things. Are we bringing in just a bunch of excess just because they were cute, because they were fun, because they were there, or they were cheap? Why are we bringing in all of these excess things? Are we able to really take care of them? One of the big aha moments in my life was when I realized I was keeping so many extra kitchen utensils that I was never using but they were cute. They weren't functional to me, and they weren't even the best product for me that was gonna last me a long time, but they were cheap. So I bought an excess amount of them. And so when I started decluttering all those years ago, I realized that those measuring spoons that have all the little grooves in them that are impossible to clean, those fun measuring cups that aren't really all that helpful, those things needed to go out. It didn't matter that they were beautiful. What really mattered was that it wasn't helping me to feel peaceful in this kitchen. So we're walking into our bedroom, we're getting ready for the evening routine of going to sleep and shutting down. What are we seeing in our room? When I used to be in this room, it was extremely cluttered. There was tons of pieces of furniture, things on all of the walls, and my bed was, of course, never made. What I realized about this cycle that I was creating was that it was easy to shut the door and walk away. And so therefore, when I came in at night, no, it wasn't comfortable, but I just thought I could shut it out and go to sleep. What I didn't realize is that I was creating a huge problem for myself. And that really came down to I was waking up a lot more often. It was harder for me to go to sleep and harder for me to stay asleep. And this is actually research based that having a cluttered bedroom leads to a lack of sleep because we are constantly distracted and overstimulated by what is going on around us. For the way my brain works, I had to kind of go to the extreme. So I got rid of every piece of decor except for our mirror that my husband made behind me. And I just keep the walls a very calm, light gray. That way, when I come into this room, my brain doesn't start running. What do I need to dust? What do I need to fix? What do I need to take out? I immediately feel a sense of calm. The other thing that I had to start creating when it came to habits was making my bed. And as somebody who hates making my bed, I realized that the big problem wasn't in the aspect or wasn't in the chore of making my bed. It was the fact that it was hard. It was something extra to do when I was in that big rush. And so when I finally swallowed my pride and got rid of all the excess pillows on my bed and didn't have any excess blankets that weren't being used, I realized that it really came down to folding the blanket back over, pushing the pillows up, and I was done. It took me less than 30 seconds. And so therefore, when I walk back into this room, even when there's a few things left out, the bed being one of the largest pieces in this room allows me to feel that calm, that at peace. In the book, he says, think of your house as an allegory for your body. Keep cleaning it every day. Therefore, it reminds me that this is an ongoing process. That whole idea of resetting our house every evening, and even some things that I reset in the morning, need to continue because when they do, it makes my life so much easier. If you're a procrastinator like myself, then you very much know that having chores that you have to do every day feels very overwhelming. That's why it comes back to simplifying. The key is to declutter, not to organize, not to bring in new organizational supplies, not to label everything, though that does really help. It comes down to simplifying so much that it doesn't feel like a huge chore to put your clothes away. It doesn't feel like an overwhelming, crazy task to vacuum your bedroom because there's not a ton of stuff in the way blocking you from being successful. So we're in my bathroom now, which for most of my life has been the least favorite room for me to be in because it was always very overwhelming. It always felt like it had one more thing that I forgot to do and I was missing something. It just felt like a place that I failed at for so many years. And it really came down to the fact that I tried to organize my things, but it didn't work in the way that I thought it would, and that it became so much easier just to leave everything out on all the flat surfaces instead of to put them away. And so therefore I thought putting up a lot of open shelving all around my bathroom was going to solve all my world's problems. But what I found is that having all this stuff out, all the makeup, all the deodorant and the hair products out, meant that when I did have to come in here and clean it, it was overwhelming and chaos. And so I procrastinated on it forever. And so I love in the book how it says we scrub dirt to free ourselves of attachment. And that's really what it came down to. That was my big problem. I was so attached to having 5 different foundations and 7 different hair products that those objects that I thought were going to bring me so much joy ended up bringing me massive headaches. And I never wanted to be in here. So thinking about organizing your things in a way where you can easily lift all of them up at one time. So even if you have to have things out on your countertop or on shelves in your bathroom, how can you simplify the process of moving those things in order for you to be able to clean and maintain this room? Trays really help you to gather several things and make them look like one. It's like it tricks our brain into thinking that we have less clutter. And that's where I tend to put my lotion and my soap, because I do want to keep those things out because I'm using them constantly. But everything else, think about lazy organization, which I've talked about before, where you're not overcomplicating how you're putting your things away. If you're a procrastinator like I am, that's like the word of the day, I guess. You want to make sure that these new habits, like putting our things away in a drawer, is so easy and so simple, it's almost difficult not to do it. It becomes as easy as drinking water and breathing air. It's just what you do during your day. So for me in my bathroom, I take all my makeup stuff and all my toothbrushes, and I had to take them off my flat surfaces because I get way too overstimulated by seeing all those things. And I put them in a drawer that's behind me. When I used to hyper organize and put everything in tiny little baskets, it never happened. And so what I had to realize about myself is that if I want things to be put away, that I have to use a simpler habit for them. And so there's only 2 baskets in there. One is for toothbrushes and one is for everything else. It allows me to put all these things away so easily that I never leave things out on the countertops anymore. All right, let's talk about one of my least favorite things in the world, and that's laundry. I guess if it was acceptable to just walk around nude, I would totally do it because I hate doing the laundry. It felt like, honestly, in this book, he was speaking to me personally when it came to laundry. And he said, with just the smallest bit of neglect, the heart too can become neglected and begin to fill with worldly desires. This is why we must do the laundry. Yes, anybody else ever feel like that? Because when it comes to laundry, not only is it overwhelming to do it, especially when we wait forever and ever and a day, but it should be that sign to us when we have too many clothes. Are you able to maintain semi-order in your closet and be able to put your clothes away easily? If you can't put them away easily, are you constantly thinking that it is an organizational issue that you're having with your clothes and not a overabundance that you're having with your clothes? As a recovering shopaholic, I can say that for most of my life, it was that I saw things that other people had, or I saw things online, or I saw things that were on sale. And so therefore, I just bought them without thinking. And that's how I think a lot of us are bringing in many of those clothing items, the shoes, the jewelry. We're bringing in all these items because we see them out there, and therefore we think that, yeah, we should have them. And where I'm not saying there's anything wrong with shopping, there is something wrong with mindlessly shopping and buying things that then you bring home and you realize they're overwhelming your life. As you're doing the laundry today with me, I want you to be thinking about, why is this still so hard for me? Is it because I have so many things to fold? Is it because my laundry baskets are really big? And so therefore, when I start to do laundry, I have so much to do, it takes me an entire day. How can I streamline this process? And that's really where it comes into thinking about a capsule wardrobe or doing just a massive declutter, which I've done many of them, to get out those extra pieces of clothing that you're really not using. I recently just did something in my closet that really has been helping me, honestly, and that's I turned all of my clothes inside out. And before you freak out, you could just do this with your closet, or you could just do this with your shirts, or just do it with your pants to start with. You don't have to do your whole closet and spend all day. But I don't have that many clothes, so it took me like 30 minutes. But what I'm realizing through that process of turning everything inside out is that there are still so many things that I really don't reach for, and just acknowledging why I don't reach for them. And like I said before, because of my ADHD, a lot of times it makes it hard for me to remember the last time I used something. And so I'm not sitting in the closet thinking, oh yeah, I wore this last week. Yeah, definitely. My brain isn't thinking that. And so turning everything inside out has actually massively helped me to be more aware of the things that I'm wearing over and over again, like said shirt here, and the things that I haven't used in the past 2.5 weeks that I can acknowledge and start to realize why I'm not wearing this piece of clothing. And so that I can be more conscious of what I should buy in the future and the things that I shouldn't. And the last thing that I'll say about this, that I actually heard first from Marie Kondo when I binge watched all of her episodes, was that when you're folding your clothes, you want to be mindful of what you're doing. And so I stopped doing my laundry downstairs on the couch watching TV, and I started doing it on my bed. One, it's easier because It's more surface to fold things on. It's also closer to where all of our clothes are going to be put away. So it's less procrastination on my part. But also, what I found is that I'm able to fold more mindfully. I'm able to think about being grateful for the things that I have. And that actually leads to having less desire to buy more things because you're realizing what you're doing, you're realizing what you're having, becoming more aware of the whole folding process and the chore that it is has allowed me to be more reflective on not buying more. Does that make any sense? I hope it can help you. Try doing the laundry without the TV or radio and just think about what you're doing. Let me know what you think. So I'm incredibly grateful that we get to end here in my garden, in the back garden. My front garden's better, but we're working on it. But I get to end here because I wanted to say that your garden is a place where your body and soul can be in dialogue with your surroundings. That's from the book, not from me. But it makes a lot of sense. Even if you just have a window box or your indoor plants, how are you taking care of and maintaining these things that are a part of our beautiful surrounding? Do you feel like the plants that you have inside and outside bring you peace when you're around them? Are you able to maintain them? One thing that I found outside and inside was when I had too many plants, even though I loved all my babies, it was too much for me to maintain and take care of. And so therefore it became another chore, another place that I got anxiety. So when I paid more attention to the amount of plants that I could care for, maintain, and love, I became much more cognizant of the ones that I'm buying. Those plants that aren't going to make me feel guilty about leaving them a day or two or a week, but are going to bring me that joy, that peace that I feel when I'm able to maintain them and love them and enjoy them like we are supposed to be doing. If you've enjoyed this video, which I hope you have, it's been really fun for me to make, then please watch one of these videos right here and continue your journey of minimalism and decluttering. And I wish you guys all the very best.